Hello, and welcome back to the Rainbow mini-series. If you didn't catch the last episode, all we did was we created a brand new sample app, and in this sample app, we installed a package dependency called Rainbow, which was the latest release 2.0.1, and we imported that library into our content view.swift, and we hit Command B just to make sure that everything compiled successfully. And now we are going to learn a little bit about the Rainbow Button modifier. So let's go ahead and build and run the app just so we can see what we're working with out the box. And you can see that Apple has provided us a default vertical stack with two elements. One is an image. It's a system named Globe. You can see that here. And a piece of text called Hello World. And both of these items are nestled within the VStack, and we have some padding around that VStack. Now, a little bit about modifiers. Like we already know, they modify views that they are being appended to. So at this moment, we have padding being applied to the vertical stack. However, you can't see it because there's nothing around it. So what we're going to do is we are going to add a new modifier called border. And we'll pass it a color like purple, and we'll give it a width like 2. And this is just so we can see the border applied around the vertical stack so we can get a sense of the padding that is being modified on this view. So here you can see if we remove the padding and then we apply it after the border, that nice extra space around the image and text is going to disappear. Okay, so we have this understanding where if we append these modifiers, they're going to modify the views that they're appended to. So what we want to do at this time is we want to try and use the Rainbow Button modifier. And by default, when we run the app, we're going to see that Rainbow turned our vertical stack into this nice button. And this is the default configuration of Rainbow buttons. We haven't passed it any pre-configured button modifier configuration yet, and we will in a moment. But just so you know, this modifier, what it does is it turns any view into a nice bouncy button. Okay, so let's make this a little bit prettier. What we're going to do is we're going to open up parentheses, and we're going to pass a pre-configured button into the Rainbow modifier. So we're going to say Rainbow Button, give me the outline pre-configuration with the theme called primary. Now, when we build and run, what we should see is that this theme is now applied to our button. But wait, we have this blue globe. And that's because Apple provided the foreground style by default on this image. So let's go ahead and remove that foreground style. And when we run the app again, we should see that primary theme applied to everything. Fantastic. Let's make this button a little bit prettier. What we're going to do is not just pass in a default configuration, we're also going to pass in a shape. And we're going to do that using a static method called configure on the Rainbow Button modifier. So here we're going to say .configure. And as you can see, there's two different applications to the signature. You pass a configuration and a shape, or you pass a configuration, a shape, and a size. So let's just do the one on top first. The configuration we're going to pass is the same outline configuration with the primary theme. And this time we're going to pass a capsule shape. All right, let's go ahead and build and run and see what we get. And as you expect, we get a capsule-shaped button. But this doesn't look so good. So what we're going to do is change the V stack to an H stack, and then we should get that nice horizontally laid looking button. Fantastic. This is exactly what I wanted. So let's take this up a notch higher, and we're going to just show one more feature that is built into Rainbow Button modifiers by default, and that is the concept of state. So here what we're going to do, which is very common in many apps, is we're going to say is loading is equal to false. And essentially, this is going to give us a chance for the button to react based on the state variable is loading and show one of its custom loaders so you can see some of the things that RainbowButton modifier gives you out the box that you don't have to worry about. So we have our RainbowButton modifier, we have our state variable. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pass the state variable into a parameter called isLoading, and just make sure you pass the binding of the state variable, isLoading. And then we're going to create a function that is going to simulate a asynchronous request. So here we're going to say dispatch queue.main.async after.now +1. So let's do +2, so you have 3, so you can see a little bit of loading state. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say is loading equal to false. So essentially here, toggle is loading, and then after 3 seconds, turn it to false. But we do need to turn is loading to true because it's false by default. So let's go ahead and just do that in a line above. We'll say is loading is equal to true. And now, when we press this button, because it's in the callback of the RainbowButton modifier, we should see a beautiful loading state for 3 seconds. And there it is. So just like that, we get beautiful buttons with colors, shapes, themes, and loading state built into the buttons with a beautiful aesthetic, and we didn't have to do any of the work to build that. So that's our little introduction to RainbowButton modifier. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode and teaching you more about what Rainbow has to offer you and your apps.